Okay,
Oh, there it is.
there we go. Sorry about that.
So I'm going to go through the scholarship application system and what the process that students see when they go to our site and apply for the scholarship. So this is the main page. There's already a test login, but I'm actually going to sign up using an account so that you can see the whole process. But students can click on terms and conditions, and then we are going to go through the sign up process. And then there's also a forgot password link for students who maybe do have an account, but just forgot their password. So this is the sign up process, and it just asks a few basic questions in the beginning. And this is where the students need to enter their legal name. So they will have a chance later to enter a preferred name, but at this time, we do need them to enter their full legal name. This is going to enable us to match their information to their FAFSA that is required for the Idaho Opportunity Scholarship. And then they will hit their gender, which helps us match with their EDU ID, which will help us bring in their GPA and any dual credits they completed. So it's really important that all this information is absolutely correct. This is, I mean, I don't want them to rush through any part of the application, but if I'd say if they need to be especially careful with anything, it would be these parts right here. And I'm just going to enter just a random social security number. And for students who don't have a social security number, if they're DACA students, they should just be able to enter their tax identification number. But there are also some other students who are not DACA who may be eligible, and they should just reach out to our office. I'm working with a student right now who's not a DACA student, but is here legally. So I am trying to figure out what to do with that person. And this part right down here tells them all of the characteristics their password needs to have. So it does try to make it as secure as possible between the lowercase and capital letter and a number and a special character and everything. So if I were doing this for real as a student, once I enter that, I would just go through again and just make sure everything I entered was precisely correct. So now I'm going to sign up. It's going to say a verification email was sent, but it'll let me continue, but I'm not going to be able to submit my application until my email is verified. So I'm going to go over to my Gmail, and I can see it comes from Scholarship Help, which is scholarshiphelp@osby.idaho.gov, telling me exactly what I need to do to verify the application. So thanks for confirming. I'm just going to go back to my link. So I've confirmed my email, and now I'm ready to go. You don't need an EDU ID number for this, but it's very helpful that if they do have it, to enter it in. And Kate, I forget what the dummy EDU ID number is for it to sync.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's right, though. It should tell you that it doesn't belong to you, because
okay,
it will look for matching your name,
okay,
birth date, to ensure that you are the same as what we have for your EDU ID.
Perfect. So when students enter their EDU ID, they just need to click that sync their account, and it will indicate whether or not it belongs to them or not. If they have trouble finding their EDU ID, they can either go to a high school counselor. And I understand from my own daughter that they can log into a school, like she knew exactly how to find it. She's like, oh, I can just log into my school account and it's right there. Oh, okay. Or they can also reach out to one of us at the board office and we can look it up for them. So this is where they can enter their preferred name. So if I had a preferred name, I can put something else in here. But if it's just their legal name, they can just put that in as well. And then this is where they can select if they're affiliated with an Idaho tribe. And this is just a data collection type question. It's not significant for scholarship selection. And then just the phone numbers. And this is actually should be primary and secondary. Correct, Kate?
Correct. That way,
Okay.
since it's really common for people to have cell phones rather than landlines, we want to ensure that text messages go to a textable number.
And I would encourage students to opt into texting as much as they're comfortable. We only use it to send award kind of notifications. So, hey, it looks like you have an offer, check your email. Or reminders if they did not check if they have not accepted the offer yet. And that's one thing I meant to mention when they sign up for an account and they're using an email address, but I didn't mention it, is to use an email they check often and to not use a high school email, because we just made late offers earlier this week and many were rejected because they were high school email accounts. So it's very important they make a Gmail account or make some other kind of account, and it's an email they check at least once a week, so that they don't miss out on any notifications. It's asking for my parent or guardian, because when I signed up, I was under 18, so it's asking me for this information. So after that, this page is basically just personal information, demographics. Now we go into qualification questions. So the first one is the school status as of today. So the first one is not an Idaho high school graduate or Idaho high school senior. So this would make students ineligible, because to qualify for scholarships, you have to have graduated from an Idaho high school, homeschool, or its equivalent, meaning you earned a GED or high school equivalency in Idaho. So that's important to pick the correct one. Then the next one would be graduating from an Idaho high school or equivalent this year, meaning they're a high school senior. And I'm sorry, my mouse is like kind of weird, the one I use at home, so excuse me. And the next one is Idaho high school graduate or equivalent with no college credits. So those students who graduated high school and just do not have any college credits at all. And then Idaho high school graduate with some college credits. Sometimes students with dual credits will choose this status, but they're not an Idaho high school graduate. So this status would not apply. They would be graduating from an Idaho high school or equivalent this year. They will be able to enter dual credits down here. So this is probably the most common misunderstanding is, oh, well, I have some college credits. Yeah, but you're not a high school graduate yet. And then this last status is a high school graduate or equivalent who is in their last semester or has completed a bachelor's degree, because some of these students are trying to apply for the scholarship for graduate school, and the scholarship can't be applied to graduate work. Most students you will be working with will be graduating from an Idaho high school or equivalent this year. Here they can either select the high school they're graduating from, or they can simply just start typing it in. And then if they're a high school senior, they would pick just the month and year. It's pretty easy there. There's always help text. Not always, I guess, because there's not a help text for this box, but there's usually help text to kind of guide them on what to do. If I had had an EDU ID associated with my name, there would more than likely be information pre-filled out here that would say something along the lines of, it looks like you have 10 dual credits, or you have, this is the GPA we show. Students can always override that. So if they're like, well, no, wait a minute, I have 15 dual credits, and I'm just going to put a 3.0. So I'm just going to click through to next. An Idaho Opportunity Scholarship, if they qualify, is already selected. There's nothing else they need to do. If I had put a 2.5 here and click next, it looks like there's nothing I qualify for. Oh, actually, sorry, it clicked ahead because of my mouse. But so if I had put a 2.5, I could click on opportunity and it would tell me why I don't qualify. The Idaho Opportunity Scholarship is only available to students who have a 2.7 or above. And the only one I qualify for is post-secondary credit because of how many dual credits I entered on the previous page. So let's change this back to a 3.0. I just kind of wanted to show where students can click on certain scholarships. Like this one for adults, it says it's only available for students who have at least 24 college credits and must have a college GPA of a 2.5 or above. So this is pre-selected. Students can't unselect it. They can also select others. And this is also another point of confusion is students will select this post-secondary credit scholarship and then ask me why the opportunity is asking for an award letter and a transcript and proof of a matching scholarship, because they're not clicking on the details, they read the requirements. But I'm going to click on a couple of these so that you can see what the next page looks like. Sorry, I really apologize for my mouse. It is just so for Idaho Opportunity, for these additional scholarship questions, it says you have been auto-selected for the Idaho Opportunity Scholarship. And then it tells you no need to rush. You can exit the application anytime and your progress is saved and you can log back in again. When they log back in, they would come to this menu and it will say apply. And then they can just go back to page 4 to revisit the questions that they want to complete. So for each question, it tells them what program it's for. So the essay question is for Governor's Cup. These short answer questions are for Governor's Cup. And then a high school transcript is Governor's Cup and post-secondary. Award letters are post-secondary. So it kind of tells you what each question is for. And then there's help text for these questions. So like for post-secondary, it's telling them what scholarships are eligible. And it gives them an example transcript of what we are looking for a dual credit transcript. I'm not, oops. Okay. That was interesting. So I'm not going to actually apply for any of these. I'm just going to uncheck those. And then if the only thing they're applying for is opportunity, this is what they're going to see is Idaho Opportunity Scholarship. You've been automatically selected. There are no additional questions. Please click ahead to review your application. They have not submitted anything yet. And this tells them their application summary. And if we have not found their FAFSA or connected their Social Security number to a FAFSA, it's telling them what they need to do is that the FAFSA is required, and then how the EDU ID doesn't match up. So they have some kind of messages, but they're still going to be able to hit submit. Everything is complete for opportunity. You just need to do a FAFSA. So once they hit submit, it's going to take them to this page and it'll say the scholarship requires a completion of a FAFSA before it can be considered. We have not been able to match your FAFSA. And they should get a confirmation email from Scholarship Help again, saying, nice work, you submitted the following applications. There's also going to be some links in this email, just giving them more information, just about a time frame for when they should be when they'll hear back from us. But they do get a confirmation email, because we did have an issue with students who thought they submitted, but actually did not, because they didn't have that confirmation email and we didn't have record of submission. So it's important that when they get that confirmation email, they keep it, put it in an archive folder or just some other scholarship folder they might create, just so they have record of their submission. So usually what that page would say is that the deadline for Opportunity Scholarship is March 1st. We will notify students starting usually about mid to late April, and then we make offers kind of going from there. So it's important for them to keep an eye out on their email. And so for this year's scholarship applicants, they are supposed to be doing a 2023-24 FAFSA. Another common issue I see is students will do a 2022-23 FAFSA, which is also available right now. But we are actually looking for that 2023-24 FAFSA. And they can come back here at any time to make sure that the FAFSA was linked up. So that's kind of the whole application process for students who just complete opportunity. And then, like I said, you can go back into apply and then go back to page 3, select any other scholarships you want to apply for, and then answer those questions that you want to, that apply to the scholarship you want to complete, and then submit it again.
One thing I do want to point out, when Joy is going through and showing how changing answers will change your eligibility, we do go and verify that information, just as an FYI. So I realize that it looks like students can go and like input whatever they want to, and then like they think they're going to be automatically applied to these particular scholarships, but we do have to verify the data for correctness.
Yeah, thank you, Kate. There were several students where the GPA we had either through IC or from Apply Idaho was a very different than the one they entered. So we asked them to verify it for us by sending an unofficial transcript, and we were unable to verify that GPA because we kind of had GPAs that were a little all over the place. So that's another reason for students to keep an eye on their email, because we might need additional information. So that's pretty much it. Are there any questions?
I don't see any questions in the chat, but keep thinking about it. Joy, I will go ahead and go over the Scholarship Idaho guide really quickly. So hopefully you all can see the screen again. So just as a reminder, if you're on the Next Steps Idaho website and you're trying to help a student log in and complete their scholarship application, you would just go to the mega menu, which of course is the 3 vertical lines, or excuse me, horizontal lines that go across the top, the hamburger. Under quick links, which is where you're going to find most of the information you need, you're going to click on Scholarship Idaho. And then on this page is really all the information that you and also the students and parents will need about all of the different scholarships that the state manages. So this scholarship tracker here will turn on Saturday, and it will show, that which ones are open, and it tells you at the bottom which scholarships require the FAFSA. So that's really nice to know as well. And then the green box is for the first time. If a student has never logged into Scholarship Idaho, they would click on the green box. If they have logged in before and they're just coming back to maybe work on a different scholarship, or they need to update something, then they could click on the orange box where they would log in. So that's how Joy got to that initial login screen. And this is always a point of confusion, and we're really sorry that it's like this. Unfortunately, just with the system that we have, students do have to have a separate Apply Idaho account. It's not the same. They need to create a new Scholarship Idaho account. They can use the same email and the same password, but they need to actually sign up for an account. And that's a really important thing to have them do. And they'll be confused. I know they will be, but if you can just explain to them that there's some different requirements for the scholarships than there are for the application. So they do need to sign up. So that's definitely important. And then also on the Scholarship Idaho page, underneath the scholarship tracker, we've added a new scholarship guide. And really this guide is for you as counselors, advisors, educators, if you're working with students, or even for parents, if you want to refer to them to this guide. This is really kind of just a step-by-step, like, what are you going to need before you start your application? How do you create your account? How do you verify your account? And then it really does just go step by step with screenshots, just like Joy went through just a minute ago. And then down at the bottom, There's a great video for those of you who are maybe going to show a video in class, or maybe you have video announcements at your school. You could put this video announcement in, but this just really kind of explains about Scholarship Idaho and how to use it and how to apply for these state scholarships. And then there's a bunch of just kind of FAQs. So if you have, questions about qualifications or eligibility, scholarship specific questions, we're really trying to like answer all of your questions here on the scholarship guide. So just make sure to check that. Yes, Natalie, we will cover the post-secondary credit scholarship requirements. We know it is a really confusing scholarship, which is probably why it's underutilized. We wish that it wasn't so confusing. But to your point, I'm also going to show everyone, and I will email this out to you as well. I'll put the link in the chat. We've been going over this if you've been attending the Ed Forum this year. For all of you out there listening, counselors, advisors, the For Educator page on our website is really where you're going to find most of the resources that you need. So from the For Educators page, if you click on curriculum and resources, and I'm going to put the link in the chat, and then scroll down on the financial aid literacy section, you're going to see a bunch of different resources that we hope that you'll use that might be helpful for you when you're talking to students about financial aid. But the last little tab in that section is the state scholarships cheat sheet. And so this is really, I know it's a lot, but these are all of our state managed scholarships. And then it's broken down by all the eligibility requirements, as well as any of the qualifications that students need to meet to be able to apply for the scholarship, and also to maintain it if they are awarded. So again, I will go back. So this is in the curriculum and resources section of the For Educators page. If you go to curriculum and resources and scroll down to financial aid literacy, and I will also email this cheat sheet out to everyone who registered for this webinar. So you will get this in an email today. Please feel free to share it out. But you can go through and kind of see like, what's the GPA requirement for each of these scholarships? What's the residency requirement? When's the deadline? Is FAFSA required? And so this is just a handy guide for you. You're welcome to give it to students if you think it would help, but hopefully this is just a helpful guide for you to know all the differences between the different scholarships. And Joy, I'll let you or Kate, either one, if you guys would just maybe explain the post-secondary credit scholarship, the requirements, like how a student actually gets that would be awesome.
So students don't typically apply for this one until closer to the end of the year, and they actually have a scholarship for us to match, because this is a matching scholarship program. Excuse me. So this is a scholarship where, as you can see on the other line, they have to have 10 or more credits earned as a high school student. So they have to have 10 or more dual credits. And it's unweighted GPA for all of our scholarships. But for post-secondary, sorry, I just saw a question. I got distracted and I just answered it. So for post-secondary credit, it's a matching program that will match a scholarship from a business or an industry, and an industry meaning that it's for a specific major. And it used to be that we only match scholarships that had a minimum merit component, but that requirement is no more. We will match scholarships from a business or an industry, meaning it's for a specific major. They have to apply for this one within 4 years of their high school graduation, or they can be high school seniors, and we match up to certain amounts depending on how many credits they've earned. So we can match, it's a 2-year scholarship, so we can match up to $1,000 a year for 10 to 19 credits, as long as they have a matching scholarship each year. We can match up to $2,000 for 20 or more credits. And the sheet, actually, I see something that's incorrect. We can match up to $4,000 a year for 2 years if they have an associate's degree or its equivalent, not 40 credits. So I'm not sure. I will reach out to get that corrected. It actually has to be an associate's degree or its equivalent. So if a student, say they have 15 credits and they received a $2,000 scholarship for this year, we can only match up to 1,000. And then maybe next year they receive 500. I can't match previous year's funds, so I can only match 500 next year. And that's where I think where some of the confusion comes in is, well, I had $2,000 scholarship my first year. Why can't I just get the second half of it next year? But we can only match scholarships that are within the same award year. And it's really hard on these webinars to see if I'm being clear because I don't see like the faces and everything. So we're always happy to answer questions about that. But I think removing that minimum GPA or minimum merit component from the scholarships we match has been helpful, because now it's just, is it a business? Is the scholarship from a business, or is it for a specific major? If yes, we can more than likely match it. If no, we can't. And so some of the questions we get are, well, we have foundation scholarships. Some of them are just personal people in the community who have set up scholarship programs. Some are businesses. Well, we can match the business sponsored ones, but we can't sponsor ones that, say Jenny decides she wants to put out a scholarship program. We can't match that one. So, and one thing that's helpful, if anybody on the webinar is working with their school foundations to pay these students, it's helpful, number one, that they pay the institution directly and not the student, and that they designate specifically what scholarship it is for on the check that they send to the institution, because we're having an issue right now with one foundation where it's simply coming from the school's foundation, but it's not specifying what scholarship the student received. So the institution doesn't know if this is the matchable one that I'm talking about when I send them a student list. And yes, students can use multiple scholarships. So if they get a $500 one from Idaho Power and a $500 scholarship from Wendell Chamber of Commerce for their program, then that works. But if they get 500 from an Elks Club and then 500 from Idaho Power, we're only matching Idaho Power, because Elks Club is not a business. It's not an industry, it's a service organization. That's usually the one I get the most for some reason. Can you match my Elks Club? So let's see if there's another question.
And that's really, it's really, I know it seems really frustrating and you're probably thinking like, why do you guys make such a complicated scholarship? And so it's important to know that our office really does not actually get to set a lot of these requirements and qualifications. These come from legislators who create these scholarships. And so we, the state board, are just sort of managing what is being set up by a lot of what the legislature approves. So I know that that can feel frustrating, and we're kind of the messenger, and you're thinking like, why can't you guys just simplify it?
Well, and to clarify, we can make recommendations on any changes or anything, which is why the merit component for matching scholarships did go away, because I indicated that that was a barrier, because there's a lot of businesses out there who have scholarships, but just didn't put a minimum GPA tied to them. Sorry, Jenny, didn't mean to interrupt, but
no.
So some of the counselor feedback has been taken into consideration, but it doesn't, just because we make recommendations though, doesn't mean those recommendations will always be taken and changes made.
But you can keep sending them to us, because the more, the more we get from you, then we can continue to work to give those recommendations to the legislature. But thank you, Joy, for explaining that. And I did just want to point out as well, the Idaho scholarship listing that we have on our website. So again, from the Next Steps Idaho homepage, it's in the second column. under education and training, there's a tab called Idaho Scholarship Listing. And this list is a much broader, more inclusive list of scholarships that people either submit to us or we know about that are available to your students. These are not scholarships that are managed by the state board, but there is an option on this list to filter and look for scholarships that do qualify as a matching scholarship. So if students are wondering, like, how do I find a business scholarship so I can get this other matching scholarship? This would be a good way to do that, is to click on that little post-secondary credit matching scholarship, and then they can see all of the different scholarships that do qualify as a match. So that's just something.
And this is, sorry.
You're good.
This isn't an all-inclusive list, because I've gotten that question before, is like, are these the only ones? This gives you a starting point, but there's national scholarships that are businesses that would be eligible. Like I've matched Chick-fil-A, and I don't think that's listed here. And so this is just kind of a starting point. The other thing to mention about the post-secondary credit scholarship is that the scholarship can't come from a family business. And the way it's described in, I think, rule or statute, I can't remember which one, is it cannot come from a family member that is within 2 degrees. So if mom and dad wants to give their student a scholarship, that won't work. And it's hard to catch, but I have, you know, where the student's name matches the name of this business. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. It's not going to work. So that's one thing to keep in mind, is that families can't just give their kids scholarship and then expect it to be matched.
Okay. And I did put the link to that Idaho scholarship listing into the chat as well, so you have it. So I just wanted to kind of do a quick recap, and then of course we'll still be available for questions. But so big takeaways for Scholarship Idaho is that it does open on October 1st, which is Saturday. That's different than Apply Idaho. Apply Idaho is going to open on Monday. So you may have students who are eager and getting online this weekend to apply. The big thing again is that Scholarship Idaho does require a separate login from Apply Idaho. So students need to have 2 different logins. They are 2 different and very separate applications. Your social security number is required when you're setting up that account. And again, that's to tie to FAFSA. If a student doesn't have a social security number, they can reach out to Joy, to our scholarships office, to work around, you know, other ways to be able to be eligible. We really encourage students to say yes to the text messages when they're filling out their application. And again, as Joy said earlier, it's only so that students are more aware when they receive awards. I know last year, my students who got the Idaho Opportunity Scholarship, the ones who got the text message, like they were on it, they got that text message and they accepted their award really quickly, whereas students who only got the email, of course, that email got buried somewhere and they didn't check it. So please encourage your students to say yes to the text. And then just remember that that cheat sheet is on our website, and I'll be emailing it out again today as well. Did I miss anything, Joy? Kate?
I don't think so.
No, I can't think of anything else either.
Okay. And I will just really quickly, I have you all here, that same spot where I showed you the, oh, have I've probably been on this website the whole time, haven't I? So am I back on the Next Steps Idaho website? Can you guys see the website? Hopefully.
Yes.
Okay, thanks, Kate. So again, in that financial aid literacy section, there's also some other tools that you might want to use with students regarding the FAFSA. And since the FAFSA is required for the Idaho Opportunity Scholarship and some of the other scholarships that we manage, and we know that you're going to be working with families and students to help them complete that FAFSA, these are just some really great resources that you can use. There's a really great FAFSA checklist for the 23-24 FAFSA, which again, as Joy mentioned, is the one that we want students to complete. That happens every year where students do the wrong FAFSA. And so please just make sure they're doing the 23-24. But this is a great checklist that you can print off and download, maybe give it to parents or students. And then also some great information about the different grant programs that are offered by federal student aid. So it'll explain what the federal Pell Grant is, the FSEOG grant, the Teach grant, things like that, that students might qualify for. The federal student loan programs, this is really helpful. Maybe if you're doing a parent night to explain the difference between a subsidized and an unsubsidized loan. So these are just really good resources for you. And then of course, the cheat sheet for the scholarship. So we just wanted to point that out, that these are available on our website in the educator section. And that's all we have. So if there's any other questions, we'll stay on for a few more minutes. If not, we hope you have a great day and a great rest of your week. And thanks again for coming.